This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
This is going to be a busy 2 hours. Loaded up, lots to get into, because it's been a busy time in the National Hockey League with playoffs ongoing. 3 on Friday, 4 today, 4 tomorrow. Here we go. Fun is underway, and a busy lineup as well. Get you caught up on all that has taken place in the National Hockey League last night, what's to come today. We'll get you prepped for a couple of afternoon contests: Colorado, Nashville, New Jersey, and Tampa Bay, Toronto, Boston, and then San Jose, Anaheim, the late game. Jason Mackey from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette will join us. We'll get the latest on the Pens. They fell at home in game number 2 to the Philadelphia Flyers. 5-1 the final. That series now even at 1 apiece. Arthur Staple covers the New York Islanders for The Athletic, and will be here to give us the latest on the Isles, the management, the coaching staff, the roster, and most importantly, John Tavares. Craig Button, analyst for TSN, tsn.ca, coming up. We will have a lot to discuss in terms of the Canadian teams, the ones that are in the postseason, and maybe touch on a couple of things for the teams that didn't make the playoff picture. Kris Martel from Fox Sports Tennessee with a primer to get us set for the Nashville Predators and game number 2 as they get set to host the Colorado Avalanche. And Ty Anderson, who covers the Boston Bruins, will join us as well. We'll talk about the Bruins. We'll talk about the Maple Leafs. We'll talk about Nazem Kadri not being in the lineup for the next 3 games. It has been suspension central in the NHL Department of Player Safety. And oh yeah, we'll get into that because, the Nazem Kadri suspension, I'm okay. That one, I think they kind of hit pretty much right on with the 3 games. Drew Doughty, it's too late now. But I agree with Drew Doughty. It was BS. It was a PR suspension is what it was. It wasn't a suspension because of a bad hit. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. That's where we're looking for your nominations for the HU Dog of the Day. We recognize great dogs every Saturday and recognize them by picking a winner of the dogs that you send us through Twitter, through Instagram, a photo with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Tell us your dog's name, how you came to meet your dog, and why they are so special. We choose a winner every Saturday and recognize them with a photo up on our website and up on our Facebook page as well. As mentioned, it is a loaded show with lots to get into. We'll touch on all of the games from last night, and let's begin in Pittsburgh with the Penguins falling 5-1 to the Philadelphia Flyers. Jason Mackey, who's been with us a number of times before, covers the Pens for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. At JMackeyPG is how you follow him on Twitter. And Jason joins us now. I guess, Jason, maybe the approach for Pittsburgh after this loss is they should take the same approach as Philly did after game number 1. You know what? It was lopsided. It was one-sided in terms of the score. Let's not worry about it. Let's move on to game number 3.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I think this team has been very good at doing stuff such as that. There were some things last night that have developed over the first 2 games of the series that I think the Penguins are going to want to change. But by and large, I thought they played a pretty decent game last night. A lot of players spoke about that. Matt Murray being one of them, even Sidney Crosby sort of bemoaning a few missed chances, but they were happy with the effort that they delivered. In Game 3 Sunday in Philly, I think the Penguins are probably going to want to get more from their third line. That hasn't been very productive so far. And for the first power play unit to produce something, they don't have a goal so far in this series. So, I mean, the Penguins have a couple boxes they can still check, but they are not far off whatsoever.
Yeah, there was a lot of frustration, I think, amongst the Penguins last night, and it was maybe most evident with Sidney Crosby when he smashed his stick across the goal after missing that what should have been the Penguins' first goal of the night late in the second period on the power play. You could see it bubbling over at times.
Oh, you absolutely could, and I don't blame Sid. I don't blame the Penguins. I mean, they were right there. Some of the opportunities that they have, they sort of looked at game 1 and they were happy with how much they threw on Brian Elliott. They continued to do that in game 2. The only difference was they were just missing, and it wasn't like Elliott was standing on his head. I mean, he was better in game 2, but I don't feel like they lost that game because he was just, flat out that good. They're just, pinging something off the post that, Sid just runs out of real estate on that breakaway, and then the power play chance you mentioned. I mean, 99 times out of 100, Crosby puts that in no problem. For the life of me, I don't even know how that didn't go in. And look at the other way, and the goal that Couturier got, where Murray makes the initial stop, and then it kind of takes a wacky bounce off Letang, goes in, and just sort of some fluky stuff. He talks so much about bounces going the Penguins' way, and I don't know how many games last year in their run, and really the past 2 years, where we looked at it and said, they got these bounces. They really, it almost seemed like fate was on their side, and it wasn't last night. They were due for it. But if you look at the process of how they played the game, I don't think there's really a ton you can find fault with.
Is maybe the one area that they want to focus on is the penalty kill. That two of the goals came on the power play. The Philadelphia Flyers were 2 for 3 on the power play. Is that something that you want to look at? I'm not saying make wholesale changes, but maybe an examination of where the breakdowns came.
Yeah, they've been doing that. That's sort of the problem here. We can't just start freaking out over the penalty kill because it allowed 2 goals in a playoff game. They've had penalty kill problems since the trade deadline. And I don't think there are really any personnel changes they can make because of the way this team is built. And, meaning guys like Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Broussard, Hornquist, like these guys don't kill penalties. So who you have is who you have. And sorry for the cliche, but the guys they have simply have to be better. And we saw in the first one last night, Letang has all the time in the world to get a clear. He clicks it off Couturier's skates, and it stays in the zone. That's been a consistent problem for the Penguins all year, where they have an opportunity to get a clear, and they don't. So I think it's just sort of hammering down details of stuff like that, finishing when you have the opportunity. I do think Mike Sullivan will sort of harp on it, but I don't think it's an issue just isolated on one game. The Penguins have struggled with this quite a bit here down the stretch.
Jason Mackey with us, covers the Penguins for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. At JMackeyPG is how you follow him on Twitter. Pens fall 5-1 in game number 2 to the Philadelphia Flyers at home. The series shifts back to Philadelphia for game number 3. They are even at 1 apiece. You mentioned Kris Letang. Is there anything to the hand injury that he suffered last night in the collision with Claude Giroux that some are suggesting was accidentally on purpose?
Well, as far as Letang's health, we are not sure. They practice at noon today. We'll find out then if he's good to go. He talked after the game, finished the game, played the third period. There doesn't seem to be any issue. We honestly don't know if it was with his head or his hand. He was asked after the game whether he cleared the concussion protocol, and Letang said he didn't know, and then later reiterated he was told by his coach not to talk about injuries. So good luck getting details there. I can tell you, as far as Giroux not having a hearing with the Department of Player Safety, it's probably not going to fit well with the Penguins. They felt like that hit was intentional. They felt like Giroux knew what he was doing. And if you sort of watch the replay, and I know I'm looking at it from the Pittsburgh angle, you can see Giroux kind of gather himself in the air and identify where he is and look back and find Letang, and then his elbow juts out. Now, I don't know what's going on in his brain. Maybe he's bracing himself, but it did look a little questionable in my opinion.
Yeah, I will go that far that, okay, it looks a little iffy, but I don't know that it was seriously malicious in that sense. And in fact, I'd go that far in terms of a lot of incidents, not just in this series, but throughout the first round of the playoffs in just about every game. Honestly, the officiating, I think, has really been subpar across the board as much as anything. Is there anything to not be concerned about, but focus on in terms of Matt Murray and his goaltending? At times he looked great, but when four goals go in against him, you notice that statistic. Yeah,
and honestly, I don't think so. Matt was really, really good in game 1. We went through a couple of the goals. It's hard to blame him a ton on the first or second goals. The third one, Konechny's sort of breakaway down the right wing, he's got to stop that. That's on him. But the fourth one, Nolan Patrick's goal, is a ridiculous between the legs feed that got on the puck. I don't know if I could fault Murray on that one. Has he had better games? Sure. But he wasn't the issue last night. The Penguins just, how many games are the Pittsburgh Penguins going to be held to 1 goal? Not many. I thought Murray was good enough to win the game that the puck didn't go back in the back of the net for him. So I'm not panicked in any way about Murray.
No, and that makes sense. You're right. There are a few games that the Pittsburgh Penguins can only generate one goal, and I would expect that we'll see more. I think it's going to be interesting to see how maybe the line matchups might shake out a little bit differently with the Flyers having last change when they move back to Philadelphia. I don't know how that's going to affect Mike Sullivan, whether he wants to be strict in terms of what kind of matchups he's looking for or not.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to. Sullivan isn't one to generally chase matchups, and he'll repeat that over and over again. At home, we see a lot of Sullivan going best on best, and what that meant in this series. I mean, Crosby and Couturier have seen a lot of one another. In Philly, I don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, I don't pretend to know Dave Haxtell's inner thinking, but the way that matchup has played out through 2 games, I have to think he wouldn't mind getting Couturier away from Sid and maybe get him out against. Honestly, Brassard's line would be a good matchup for them, and it's been Brassard, and it's either going to be Zach Aston-Reese and Connor Sherry on the left side with Phil Kessel on the right. It's not a great defensive line, and so if you're looking to sort of exploit something, that might be in the Flyers' best interest. But regardless, I think it does shake things up a little bit. I think Dave Haxtell would take advantage of getting last change, getting Couturier away from Crosby, and Mike Sullivan's not going to protest too much. I think he's going to count on other lines to hold their own against them.
And I think the other thing that we saw from the Pittsburgh Penguins in game number 1, we saw it in a little bit last night too, is shoot as much as you can, get a lot of shots on Brian Elliott, because this game number 2, when that first one went by Elliott and rang off the post, I think it might have dented the post. That could have been a very different game if that puck goes in early.
Yeah, that was something Mike Sullivan talked about after the game. I thought it was really interesting. He was speaking specifically on the power play, but he could have used that statement across the board. I believe the Penguins had 35 shots on goal last night. They easily could have had more. And that's something we've seen with this team and with this power play, that they get a little too choosy, and they want to make cute plays, and they're not as simple with the puck. And I thought they were really good in that regard in game 1, but I think Sullivan would like to see them simplify their approach. I know that's what they need to do on the power play. They also need to do a better job of getting shots through. That was something that Justin Schultz mentioned after the game last night, saying he didn't do as good of a job as he needed to, pumping shots through from the point. So I would expect the Penguins to change that approach for game 3, simplify a little bit. And, one of the reasons they need to do that, and it makes sense for them to do that, they have guys like Patrick Hornquist and even Sidney Crosby around the goal, really good from in tight. And, we're obviously seeing a ton of the baseball-type goals for Crosby, but get the shots, get them on net. Elliott has been shaky, and then you have guys to clean it up.
Jason Mackey covering the Pittsburgh Penguins for the Post-Gazette. At JMackeyPG is how you follow him on Twitter. Jason, great stuff as always. Appreciate it. Enjoy Philadelphia, and we'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
All right, will do. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jason Mackey covering the Pittsburgh Penguins. If that first shot that gets by Elliott, it doesn't ring off the post but goes in the net, that could have been a completely different game in game number 2 on Friday night against the Pittsburgh Penguins. If it's a 1-0 lead early again, the same way that Pittsburgh swarmed, because they were swarming a little bit early in the game last night, this could have been a very different game. Chances on the power play. And you know what? When you beat a team 7-0, you're going to want to pass around and make finesse plays and try to make that perfect, easy little tap in. Shoot pucks at the net. It's really oversimplifying, but it does make a lot of sense in this case. Lots to get into today. More on the games from last night. We'll look ahead to the 4 on the Saturday schedule. A couple of afternoon contests, including the Colorado Avalanche and the Nashville Predators. Kris Martel from Fox Sports Tennessee will join us. Also coming up later on, the Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs, Ty Anderson with the latest on the Bees. Craig Button from TSN coming up, and in our next segment, Arthur Staple from The Athletic. We'll talk a little New York Islanders and much more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with much more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. We're here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, live at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. A busy show today, lots to get into with a full day of Stanley Cup playoff action, a couple of afternoon contests, one in the evening with Toronto and Boston, and then the late game with San Jose and the Anaheim Ducks. One of those teams not participating in the postseason, the New York Islanders, but still plenty of talk and discussion about what's next for the New York Islanders. Arthur Staple covers the Isles for the Athletic in New York. At Stape Athletic is how you follow him on Twitter. Arthur joins us now. I'm not sure, do we start at the top with the ownership, or do we simply start with John Tavares? Because I think, Arthur, that's where all the dominoes are going to start to fall. And until he decides what he wants, what he doesn't want to do, everything else is kind of up in the air.
Yeah, you're right, Todd. And those two topics are kind of intertwined. It's been Scott Malkin and John Ledecky, the Islanders owners, who have been kind of conducting the Tavares negotiation, if you can call it that, and acquiesced to his wish to not talk contract last off season when they could get it going on July 1 as he headed into the last year of his deal. And throughout the season, Garth Snow wasn't really involved, and I think that kind of put a lot of other things on hold about what they could have done to fix a season that ended up being pretty disastrous, whether it was trades or even, talking about broaching the topic of trading John Tavares to try to get some assets back. So now we're into the last few weeks of his contract, and still kind of in a holding pattern. And John Ledecky came out earlier this week and gave kind of a no confidence vote to his general manager and his coaching staff and the entire organization, really, and said everybody's under evaluation. I don't really know what else there is to evaluate at this point. Garth Snow's been on the job for 12 years. Doug Waite's been in the organization for 7 or 8. But they're just sort of kind of in a holding pattern and I guess a kind of day-to-day situation as they try to rebuild some confidence in the organization and some confidence in the room, and waiting to see what's going to happen with John Tavares. So it's a lot of on hold right now for a team that needs to start getting proactive, I would think, about fixing things that went wrong last season.
Yeah, that's the really intriguing part about all this, is that there is so much, we're evaluating and we're not sure what's really going to happen next. I don't think that the ownership can simply sit on their hands and wait for John Tavares until July the 1st, or in that vicinity of July the 1st, when he gives some sort of indication of what he might want to do. Is he going to have, how much input is he going to have on the future of the franchise, whether it's the general manager or the coach and the roster? I don't think that it's a power play move on his part, but it just seems like we're waiting, and at some point there's got to be a bit of information come back.
You would think, and you know, I don't think John Tavares is the kind of player who wants to have a say and who his bosses are. That doesn't seem to be his thing. I think he genuinely wants to see what's out there. You know, in that 5-day window to talk to other teams. I don't think he's eliminated the Islanders. I don't think they're in such great standing after the season they had, but they're not out of it. But you know, they're going to have a team to field next season and for seasons to come, whether John Tavares is a part of it or not, which really, to me, makes this whole kind of capitulation to everything that he asked for starting last offseason a bit curious. And, you know, I think fans were certainly unhappy that Garth Snow didn't make any moves kind of from the time in December when they started to slide and lost a couple of defensemen to injuries. And certainly there were some minor moves to be made, but as far as, you know, dumping off one of the 2 lottery picks that he had at the trade deadline, I don't know how you can do that without knowing what John Tavares is going to do. So, you know, I can't really fault Garth Snow for that. There's certainly plenty of other things he's responsible for the mess that they're in. And like you said, it's hard to look around the league with some other teams that have failed. You see Edmonton, Bob Nicholson comes out and says Peter Chiarelli's our GM, and everybody else is being evaluated. Pierre Dorian in Ottawa comes out along with Eugene Melnyk, the owner, and has some sessions with season ticket holders, and Pierre Dorian says we're evaluating, and you know that's fine because they have front offices that are set in place. And for John Ledecky and Scott Malkin to not really come out and say anything other than a couple of statements and leave some people twisting in the wind as we go into the off season, which, as we've discussed, is the most important time of the year for a team that misses the playoffs. It's all a little curious.
Yeah, and I guess there's no indication as to when a decision on the general manager, the person who is going to be in charge of reshaping, retooling, and formulating a better team on the ice is going to be made. We just got to sit and wait some more.
Yeah, you know, and if it's contingent on Tavares staying or leaving, like you said, that's not coming until July 1, and
yeah,
you know, the it's already gone by, and you know, that's really where the moves are going to be made. I don't think there's a lot in free agency that's going to fix this team or pretty much any other team other than a John Tavares. It's really slim pickings. And so with the assets the Islanders have, a couple of decent young prospects and a few extra picks from the Travis Hamonic deal and lottery picks, which we'll find out in a couple of weeks if they win the lottery, and I think that would also change a lot. But if they're going to make moves, it's going to be at the draft, and if Garth Snow is going to be in charge, you can't really see a lot of other potential general managers wanting to come in on July 1 or July 2 to take over a team that's already pretty much set in stone. So that part of it is a little strange as well.
Arthur Staple is our guest. He covers the New York Islanders for the Athletic New York. @Stape Athletic is how you follow him on Twitter. And by putting the general manager on hold and everyone else under evaluation, as you said, Arthur, that means scouting in terms of minor league scouting and junior scouting and pro scouting. Everybody's sitting and waiting to hear what happens next. And literally nothing is getting done for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're proceeding as if this is the group that's going to make the decisions. And I think that's how they have to proceed. You can't just sit around and wonder what the job is going to be. I know they've got scouts that are going to go to the World Championships and try to evaluate some international players. They've got scouts at playoff games, and you know, I think it's business as usual, even without any assurances. And I think that's how you have to operate. So, you know, I would imagine that if other people around the league are just assuming that Garth Snow and his front office and Doug Wade and his coaching staff are going to be back next year, and they're operating accordingly. I can't imagine that if Garth Snow wants to make a move at a draft, they're still in this holding pattern that the owners are going to put the kibosh on it. They obviously, like we said, have to have a team ready to go with or without John Tavares, and it's Garth Snow's job to try to fix what went wrong.
The other thing with the whole John Tavares situation, he's maintained a pretty consistent comment all the way through the season and even after the season came to an end is that his first choice is to stay. He hopes things can work out, I think is the phrase that bothers people a little bit, because it's not definitive enough that, yes, I want to do everything in my power to stay. He's earned himself the right to look around and examine. And I said a while ago, this was going to be Steven Stamkos 2.0, and I think that's how it's playing out. And I'm just not sure what anyone else can offer besides money that's going to give him a better opportunity to win, because the Islanders do have the beginnings of a decent team that's going to give him a better opportunity than he's going to get with the Islanders. They do have a realistic opportunity, I think, to keep him.
Yeah, I agree. And, like I said, if they go into the draft lottery on April 28th and come away having won it, and the right to pick Rasmus Dahlin, who's a franchise-changing defenseman, I think that suddenly makes them look a lot better than they have. And Garth Snow made a couple decent moves last offseason. They didn't produce a winning team on their own, but he traded Travis Hamonic, who didn't have a great year in Calgary, for one of these 2 picks, one of which turned out to be a lottery pick, and they traded Ryan Strome for Jordan Eberle. Jordan Eberle certainly was a big help to the team and to Matthew Barzal's Calder Trophy winning season. So, like you said, and obviously guys like Barzal, Anthony Beauvillier, Ryan Pollock, there's a foundation of a decent team here that needs fixing, but it's not an overhaul. I don't think they're the Buffalo Sabres or the Arizona Coyotes that are starting from scratch. So there are some things that could appeal to John Tavares, and I don't know necessarily if there's going to be things that change his mind as we go through the off season. But if he is seriously considering them, there are certainly things that they can do, that Garth Snow can do to appease him, I guess. And on the flip side, I think if his mind is mostly made up, and there's things that he's been saying that he hopes that it works out and he wants to stay, if he ends up leaving and leaving for nothing, I think there's going to be a little bit of a backlash towards him. He's always been, 100% support from this fan base. Obviously, he came in when they were at their lowest point, helped turn them around, and got them to 3 playoff trips in 4 years. Scored the big goal that got them a playoff series win for the first time in 25 years, a couple of years back. But you lose a lot of goodwill, I think, for saying some of those things, and then not really considering what the decision that he's made will do to the franchise. So I wonder, as we go along this offseason, if his mind is more and more made up to leave, whether he will inform the Islanders that that's his choice, and that maybe they can try to engineer some sort of move for his rights to a team that wants an exclusive window to sign him, whether that's for a draft pick or 2, or try to do something more elaborate like a sign and trade, which is rarely, if ever, been done in the NHL, certainly not under these CBA conditions, so that he can have an 8th year for another team, and maybe that ups the ante a little bit for what they can get in a return. But yeah, those are all very complicated scenarios, and certainly when you hear him say, "I hope we can stay," he's the one holding the cards. So if he wants to stay, he can just say the word, and I think he would get to stay.
Yeah, and you know what? As much as anything, if the Islanders can engineer a solid #1 goaltender into their fold in fairly reasonable order, that might do as much as anything as to get him to stay.
Oh, I agree. And I've heard from a lot of hopeful Islander fans. I know we're just getting started in the playoffs, but when you see Philip Grubauer starting over Braden Holtby for Washington, you see Keith Kincaid starting over Corey Schneider for Jersey, and if both those teams go out quickly in the playoffs, maybe there's some disgruntled #1 goaltenders with a little bit of term left on their deals, and maybe even though both of those teams are in a division, there's a way to make a move and bring one of those guys in. And like I said, I think that brings some instant credibility to a team that really had a terrible year in net, terrible year on team defense as a whole. But if you get a Braden Holtby or Corey Schneider, I think that breeds a little bit more confidence when you're out there on the ice.
No question. Arthur Staple with the latest on the Islanders from the Athletic in New York, at Stape Athletic, to follow him on Twitter. Arthur, I always enjoy the time together and appreciate it, and I hope we can talk again soon.
You got it, Todd. Anytime, my friend.
Thanks. Arthur Staple covering the New York Islanders for the Athletic. There's your answer. You got a lot of good young players, got some work to do on defense. Get a goalie, get your franchise player. It's pretty simple. That can happen. He's going to get big money everywhere. He wants to win. What's has bothered the Islanders the last year? Goaltending. Can't keep pucks out of the net. Stabilize that. you've got just as good a chance to keep your stud as anybody else. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day to send us your Dog of the Day nominees. Photo of your dog, your name, your dog's name. Tell us how you met. Tell us your dog's story. We like to honor and recognize great dogs and do it every Saturday. We'll put their photo up on our website, up on our Facebook page as well. HU Dog of the Day is the hashtag. Back with Craig Button from TSN talking playoffs. Kris Martel is coming up. Ty Anderson with the latest on the Boston Bruins. It's a busy Saturday program. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
It's the Saturday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, here every Saturday and Sunday, live at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Busy show, busy Saturday with a couple of afternoon playoff games, the Maple Leafs and Bruins at 8 Eastern, and then the late game with the San Jose Sharks taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Oh, that's going to be an interesting game number 2 in that series. Colorado, Nashville in the afternoon, New Jersey and Tampa Bay in the afternoon. It's all good. Plus, we had 3 good games last night, one of them involving the Winnipeg Jets, and Craig Button has got a lot of info about the Winnipeg Jets that I want to hear. For TSN, he is an analyst and opinionist. Follow him on Twitter at Craig J. Button. Craig, is this Winnipeg team perhaps better than a lot of people gave them credit for going into the playoffs?
I would only say this to you, Todd. If people think that they're better, I would suggest that maybe there wasn't a close enough attention being paid to them, because over the course of the regular season, you know, they had some big games against the Nashville Predators, who everybody knows. And those were great games. And, you know, teams that were skilled and teams that were fast and went back and forth. And take those games aside, I mean, Winnipeg's one of the best teams in the league. And the way they play, you know, right from the goaltender out, Connor Hellebuck's excellent. The defense is really good. Their forwards are good. They have an electrifying player in Patrick Laine. And when you consider, you know, how their team has come together, Kevin Cheveldayoff has been very patient in terms of allowing it to coalesce And I think it's really important. A lot of times you see teams that are, forcing players into the lineup before they're ready or putting in the wrong players. Kevin has been very, very methodical in terms of his building. And with that is a very patient owner in Mark Shipman. And you need both. You need the understanding that this is what we need to do to become a good team. And you also need the support. And that's been there in both respects. But, Todd, this team can beat you anyway. They can beat you with skill. They can beat you with finesse. They can beat you with skating. Last night I thought it was very interesting when Bruce Boudreau in his post-game press conference said, this is a better defensive team than last year. And I think that falls right on Paul Maurice and the recognition from other people around the league that not only are they very good offensively, not only can they skate, but defensively now they're very good. So the whole team is improved and the whole team is competent. I mean, even when you think about, last night they're controlling the play, they have the puck, Minnesota doesn't have the puck, and Winnipeg just kept playing. One of the things I really look for in a team, especially a contending team, are they comfortable playing in the playoffs when they may not be getting rewarded and they know we're just going to keep playing and eventually we're going to get rewarded. That's what I see from the Winnipeg Jets. So take away all the skill, take away the elements of coaching. They have a real maturity in the way they play, and this is a serious Stanley Cup contender.
There is a maturity, I agree with you, in the way that they play, and they're also still a pretty young team because they have a lot of young players that are really contributing. And I want to go back to your point for a second about the patience of the team and the general manager, Kevin Cheveldayoff. A couple of years ago, when Winnipeg was in the postseason, there was a lot of heat, and especially last year when they had that disappointing season, there's a lot of heat on the Jets that they weren't doing enough, that they weren't making enough changes, they didn't bring in enough people, but they were patient. They allowed some of their players to grow and mature, and it's really starting to pay off now because they're good now, and they're going to be good for a long time.
You nailed it, Todd. Like, they're good now, and we're talking about a runway here to compete for a Stanley Cup for a number of years, and there's no question in my mind that they have that. And, so we know how good their team is now and their young players. They have a prospect cupboard that's excellent. I mean, their prospect cupboard is loaded in every position. So, when you consider that not only is their team good currently, they have lots of players coming. So what does that mean? People say, "Oh yeah, what does that mean?" Well, what it means is, at some point in time, Kevin Cheveldayoff is going to be faced with decisions with respect to a salary cap. And Kevin has shown unequivocally that he'll make those decisions. And he traded Andrew Ladd because he said it wasn't going to fit. And he's going to be faced with some of those again. But when you can integrate younger players because you draft so well and you develop them and they're ready to go, and now all of a sudden, you start to see a team, okay, yeah, we're disappointed we lose that player, but we get this player coming in and for the dollars. You cannot, we all want players, the draft happens, Todd, and but are they NHL ready? You know what? I always try to distinguish between NHL ready and NHL contributing. A lot of players can play in the NHL. Can they contribute in the NHL? And that's a significant difference. So we go back a couple of years to the playoffs when they got swept. Yeah, they were playing in the NHL. They weren't ready to beat Anaheim. They couldn't muster up enough individual and collective talent on their team to beat Anaheim. But it's part of going through the growth and part of the process. And that's what you have to allow to happen. And in too many areas of sport, you're force feeding young kids into the situation. And just because you put them in there and just because they skate around doesn't mean that, number one, they have the maturity as we just talked about, or number two, they're quite ready to understand what it takes. The Winnipeg Jets are. And drafting is important. Development is every bit as important. And with development, it requires patience. Winnipeg has it in all areas. And Kevin Cheveldayoff has managed his salary cap as well as anybody in this league.
Yes, and you mentioned the letting Andrew Ladd go. It was kind of a choice between Byfuglien or Andrew Ladd. Clearly, he made the right choice in keeping Dustin Byfuglien at a price that both could live with. And as for young players coming in, well, Matthew Perreault missed game number 2 because of an injury. Roslovic comes in, and he's a contributor, just as you said.
Yeah, well, and he is, and so you step in, and he was a first round draft pick also in the same year they drafted Kyle Connor, and Kyle Connor's an interesting case. Like here's Kyle Connor, playing in the USHL with Youngstown, gets drafted, and he goes to college. He goes to Michigan, and he was great. Then he leaves college, and for me watching, I'm a believer. Maybe spend another year there, but Kyle he wanted to go learn the pro game, and he did. He went to the American Hockey League, but so now they draft him. He's in college. Now he's in the American League with Manitoba. They're working with him. He doesn't start the year with them, but then ironically, Perreault gets hurt at the beginning of the year. And who comes in there? Kyle Connor, 31 goals later. I mean, he's part of a terrific line with Scheifele and Wheeler. Same thing with Jack Russell. They run into some injuries, and because he went to college, he left to go play in the American League. He now gets that seasoning, and now he's ready to come in. I don't know how many people know this, but when Jack Roslovic was at the National Team Development Program, he was Austin Matthews' right winger. And that was a terrific line. I mean, Matthew Tkachuk played the left, Matthews played the middle, and Jack Roslovic played the right wing. They were phenomenal. It was an outstanding line. So I have that background. Don't be surprised at what Jack Roslovic is doing. Jack Roslovic is a terrific player, and just another example of a player that fits perfectly for the Winnipeg Jets. But they've allowed him to grow into the player that now can get in there and be a real contributor.
Craig Button is our guest from TSN, TSN.ca, analyst, opinionist. At Craig J. Button is how you follow him on Twitter. Let's shift over to Game 2 tonight between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins. Leafs will be without Nazem Kadri. First of all, the suspension completely warranted because it was a stupid play on Nazem Kadri's part. It was a totally selfish and ridiculous play to make. He's going to be out of the lineup. That said, now Toronto has to adjust and deal with that and shift their lines and adjust and accommodate the loss of him for the next 3 games.
Yeah, they do. And just quickly to jump on your commentary, it was completely warranted. I would have given him 2 games, but I certainly applaud the NHL saying, hey, listen, we don't care. This is a 3-game suspension for the magnitude of the act. And then, it goes without saying that leaves a real hole in the Toronto Maple Leafs lineup. The problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs lineup now is that with Nazem Kadri in it, they were completely dominated in Game 1 by the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins are relentless. The Boston Bruins do not give you a chance to even breathe, to think about what you're going to do next. So, it's always interesting to me, Todd, and I saw this last night with the Winnipeg Minnesota Wild game. People want to say, oh, yeah, well, what about Eric Staal? He had 42 goals. Like, what's he, like, he didn't do anything. And Austin Matthews, he didn't do anything. I'll tell you this. Any offensive player cannot do anything in the game if your team doesn't have the puck. Boston owned the puck in Game 1. The Winnipeg Jets own the puck in Game 2. The first step has to be not what they have to do to score. The first thing you got to do before you can score a great offense, find a way to get the puck. Because if you don't have the puck, you can forget about it. And that's where Boston is exceptional. They are able to retrieve loose pucks and then hold on to the puck when they have it. And to me, the Toronto Maple Leafs did not have an answer for them. I know the coaches are always working to make adjustments and to find a way to do it. I just don't know, to be quite frank with you, how the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to find a way to be quicker and faster and stronger on the puck than the Boston Bruins. I know they're a good team. The Toronto Maple Leafs are a good team. I believe, and I've said this from the outset of this series, if Toronto allows Boston to get into their zone, forget it. They're going to have to do a much better job up the ice. Top of the circles to the front of the red line, making sure Boston can't get through there. Because once Boston gets on the other side of the red line, they wreak havoc on you.
Yeah, and I don't think of Toronto as like the aggressive, heavy, hard on you forechecking kind of team. They're quick and they're speedy, but that's more off the rush than it is in terms of a forecheck.
But that's why, and you're exactly right, but that's why off the rush or in the neutral zone, that can play to Toronto's strengths. That can play to Toronto's strengths if they can make sure that they create turnovers in the neutral zone, force Boston to really try to pick their way, as I say, from the top of the circles in the defensive zone up to the red line. And then that's where their skill and their quickness and their ability to create offense can take over. But when you're in your own zone and you're chasing the Boston Bruins around and trying to get the puck back, you're not going to register any type of offense at all.
Craig, just before I let you go, I got to ask you about the announcement that came yesterday with Ken Hitchcock announcing his retirement from coaching. He's stepping away as the head coach of the Dallas Stars after term number 2. I know there's a relationship between the two of you, but what a sensational career for Ken Hitchcock as a head coach. I'm glad he's staying with the organization as a consultant. Yes,
I mean, he was a significant part of our team in Dallas for a lot of years, and real turnaround when he took over from Bob Gainey in 1996. Obviously, the Stanley Cup and the successes that the Stars organization had. Listen, I've known Ken Hitchcock since he was in Kamloops, and I love the man, I love the coach, and his passion, his intelligence, his interest in the game, his interest in being really good, his desire to engage. And, like any coach, they're going to be hard and they're going to have some detractors, whether it be players or whatnot. But nobody could ever question Ken Hitchcock's ability to get a team to play to its abilities and to maximize the talents of the individual players and to grow with them. And for his dedication to hockey. I mean, this was a guy that started coaching midget hockey in Edmonton, went to Kamloops. Just to look at the success he had in Kamloops. It's no accident. He's a Hall of Famer and a wonderful, wonderful friend and a great person. And, though, Todd, I have to say this, trying to put it into my head and trying to find a place in my brain where it says that Ken Hitchcock isn't going to coach again, I kind of I can't see Ken not coaching. So, maybe he's not going to coach in the traditional sense of behind the bench, but he'll be mentoring and helping and coaching a lot of people and a lot of young coaches. And I'll tell you this: if you have the opportunity to spend time with Ken Hitchcock, you know what? Just open up your ears and pay attention because it's an education all in itself.
Yeah, 100%. Craig Button from tsn.ca, at Craig J. Button to follow him on Twitter. I always enjoy it, Craig. Enjoy the playoffs, and I hope we can talk again soon.
We will. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Craig Button. That's a great point about Ken Hitchcock. Yeah, he's not going to be behind the bench of the Dallas Stars on a regular basis, but mentoring and helping coaches, whether it's with Dallas or in the coaching fraternity, absolutely. He'll be doing that for a long, long time to come. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Looking for your Dog of the Day nominations, hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send them to us via Twitter, via Instagram. Oh, some good nominations already. John Lee, that's a great photo. Liking that one. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Lots to get into. We'll continue to tee up the games on Saturday. We'll look back at a little bit in the first couple of days of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll talk a little officiating because it's been subpar. And we're starting to have the yearly discussion, debate, argument, however you want to phrase it, about officiating in the playoffs. And we'll get into a little bit of that. All coming up. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis coming back right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with SeatGiant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Saturday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues. Another hour to go after this one. Coming up in hour number 2, Kris Martel from Fox Sports Tennessee will join us, get the latest on the Nashville Predators, participating in one of 2 afternoon contests on Saturday. Preds hosting the Colorado Avalanche, game 2 of their opening round series. Nashville up 1-0. New Jersey is in Tampa Bay, also an afternoon start. Game number 2, 1-0. The Lightning up. Bruins in the Toronto Maple Leafs, game number 2 of that series, minus Nazem Kadri, who's missing the next 3 because of a stupid, idiotic play in game number 1. Ty Anderson will join us to talk a little bit about the Boston Bruins, get the latest on their lineup, how they're planning to approach game number 2 with the Boston Bruins. And the late game, of course, the San Jose Sharks, Anaheim Ducks. San Jose won game number 1, 1-0. Pretty exciting. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles. Still looking for your Dog of the Day nominations. They're flowing in. They're great. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day and send them to us. We just like to hear and recognize great dog stories. Tell us your name, your dog's name, the story of how you two came together. We'll put the winning picture up on our website, up on our Facebook page. Shep and Pedro, those are beauties. And yes, we like adoption stories as well. A good lineup of games, as mentioned, a couple in the afternoon. Toronto and Boston is an 8 p.m. Eastern start. Then you got the late game with San Jose and Anaheim. And now that we're 3 days into playoff action, there's been a lot of discussion about discipline and officiating. The Nazem Kadri suspension was a no-brainer. Let's see, you jump at a player's head. I think that sort of warrants a 3-game suspension. The Drew Doughty suspension, flawed. It's a flawed decision. I said it a couple of days ago on our little Saturday podcast and on our pregame show that we had for the Lightning opening round game against the New Jersey Devils. I wanted to see more angles. I wanted to see what came of this. I'll have more on that coming up in the next hour. Also, the other discussion about officiating. This is now a couple of days in, and we've had a chance to get all of the series underway, and everybody's starting to look at them and examine under greater scrutiny, as you do with the playoff teams as well, a closer look at the officiating and what is being called. And we're now beginning to have the discussion about, and it's an annual discussion, about what is and what isn't a penalty, because we're hearing the phrase all too often on broadcast now, the referees are letting them play. They're going to let the players decide. No, they are allowing the players to break the rules, is what the real phrase should be. They're allowing the players to hold and hook and throw punches and give an extra shot, and they are far more tolerant during the playoffs than they should be. This is the annual discussion. Oh, we want the players to decide it. We don't want the referees to get in the way. Well, you know what? There are times that the referees do need to get in the way and call a penalty. If you're watching the late game last night with Vegas and LA, Ray Ferraro, who was the analyst working on the NBCSN broadcast between the benches, couldn't believe what he was seeing in the early going, especially. There were guys wrestling with each other. I mean, they should have been awarding points for pins on the ice. It was ridiculous what was going to be allowed to get away with. And at one point said, they're going to have to call a penalty here, or this game is going to get completely out of hand. Why do we get to this stage every year in the playoffs? This is a foreseeable issue that should be dealt with directly. Conference call with all the teams, all the GMs before the players start. You got 2 days, should have been 3. You got a couple of days. There's plenty of time to schedule a 15-minute call. We're calling the penalties just as we do in the regular season. We've just gone through 6 months of 82 games for every team and been marveled on a nightly basis at the amazing skill of the players out on the ice, their ability to score beautiful highlight reel goals on a game-by-game basis. Look at the talent. Look at the skill. Look at the amazing things they can do on skates, on the ice, with the puck. Great passing plays, unbelievable shots that find a way of getting into the net. When you allow the lowest common denominator of, oh, I'm just going to grab on a little more, I'm just going to hook a little bit more, I'm just going to scrum a little bit more and restrain this player, you take away all that skill. You are not letting the best team decide it. You are not letting the best players decide the outcome of a game. You are letting the least talented players, those that get beat on a play, those that can't keep up, those are the players that you're letting decide the game. This is an annual argument. Oh, they're letting the players decide. And how many times have you heard that phrase in the first 3 nights of the NHL playoffs? If it was a drinking game, we'd all be intoxicated by the middle of the second period. We can't keep having this problem every year. It's a penalty in the regular season. It's a penalty in the playoffs. We go through the regular season. It's a penalty in the first period. It should be a penalty in the third period and in overtime. Watching games last night, I heard the phrase too, well, if this was a regular season game, that was probably a penalty. Well, why the hell isn't it a penalty in a playoff game? When the stakes are higher and the games are much more important, you're going to let an offending player away with a greater offense? It's illogical. It makes no sense whatsoever, and we shouldn't be doing it. Yet it happens year after year after year. If it's a penalty, call it. There was a great crackdown on slashing this year. It allowed players to do more, to show more of their skill, to show more of their talent and ability. We saw more beautiful plays, more beautiful goals. The speed increased again. Oh yeah, do we want to really have that in the playoffs? We sure do. When it's the best teams, best on best every night, we absolutely want that. We want the best players deciding the outcome of the game. If it's a penalty, I don't care if it's game 1 or I don't care if it's game 7 of the Stanley Cup final, call it. Yes, let the players decide it. Let the players decide it with their skill and their talent and their ability, not their ability to hold somebody back and get away with it. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handle. A busy hour number 2 coming up. Kris Martel will join us in a little bit. Latest on the Preds as they get set for game 2 of their series with Colorado. Ty Anderson also with us. Latest on the Bruins as they get set for game 2 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles. Back with hour number 2 of the program right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with SeatGiant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial Design, Mechanical Engineering and Design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Oh, first hour flew by. Well, we got a lot of stuff to get into in hour number 2 as well. Got 3 games on Friday night. A lot of stories there. Bunch going on today. Afternoon contest, Colorado, Nashville, New Jersey, Tampa Bay. Toronto minus Nazem Kadri will take on the Boston Bruins in the evening contest. More on that in just a little bit from Ty Anderson, who covers the Boston Bruins. Also, the late game, San Jose and Anaheim. Game number 2, Sharks up 1-0 in that series. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Yes, we're looking for your Dog of the Day nominations. We do it every Saturday. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog. Tell us your dog's name, your name, how you two met, came together. We like good stories. We like to recognize great dogs and do it every Saturday. We'll pick a winner, and the photo will go up on our website, on our Facebook page as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. The hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. Hope it's a good Saturday. Hope it's a good weekend. Who's a little sleepy today? Had our first extra long game of the playoffs on Friday night. How about it? LA Kings, Golden Knights. Oh yeah. So many people. It was nice actually that they didn't do it on a real weeknight. It was good that it was on a Friday, because there wouldn't be quite as many people stumbling out of bed and kind of crawling into work. Thinking, yeah, I was kind of up late last night. I was watching LA and Vegas. What a game. Tight victory for the Vegas Golden Knights. They're now up 2-0 in the series. 2-1 in double overtime. Played almost 5 full periods of hockey. Wow, that was something. Both goaltenders were sensational. Marc-Andre Fleury made some good saves, but Jonathan Quick, he was unbelievable. Absolutely spectacular, making 54 saves before he surrendered the winning goal. Kings didn't generate as many chances down the other direction. 30 shots through 5 periods of hockey wasn't enough. But of course, Vegas did that without Drew Doughty. More on that in just a couple of seconds. But in the first few days of the playoffs, we've seen great skill, really good physical, hard checks, good plays as well. Dustin Byfuglien, oh my goodness, the check he laid on Mikko Koivu in the game between Winnipeg and Minnesota. Yeah, he absolutely rocked him with a check. Clean hit, arm down, shoulder down, just absolutely, I believe Paul Moromanuk, the phrase he used was blew him up, and that's fairly accurate. There was a great description. I'm sorry I missed who it was, but commenting on Dustin Byfuglien, who should not wear a number, but rather a license plate. Because, yeah, it is like a truck hitting you. And that was, what a check. Absolutely unbelievable. And that's the great thing. Superb physical play throughout the first few nights of the NHL playoffs. We've seen it. It's been fun to watch. It's been great. Good hits, good solid hits. And, of course, some that got the attention of the Department of Player Safety. Yeah, I don't know about that. Some, yes, understandably. I mentioned the Nazem Kadri hit. Absolutely deserves to get tossed for 3 games. Player in a vulnerable position. He launches himself, sticks his butt out, and gets him in the back and the head. Sit down, stupid. You belong on the sidelines for a few games. Yes, okay, fine. You saw what you thought was a teammate being wronged and there was no call. Doesn't give you the right to be a jackass. Another bad decision in the career of Nazem Kadri. He's got 4 more years left on his deal with the Toronto Maple Leafs. What do you think? Is he going to last those 4 with Toronto? Bet he doesn't. I think they got that suspension right. The one that the Department of Player Safety got wrong was Drew Doughty. Suspended for last night's game, the Friday night game, for a hit on William Carrier, the Knights. I talked about this on the Tampa Bay Lightning Power Play pregame that we did on Thursday. I talked about it a little bit on our little Saturday podcast, that we got to watch and pay attention to what's going on in the postseason. I reread the rule on hits to the head. Just go to our friends at scoutingtherefs.com. You can get the NHL rules right there. Watched all the video I could, reserved the right to change my mind if I saw other angles, but I wasn't sure he should be suspended. And wouldn't you know it, the video explanation, more thorough description, more angles of video. I listened to the NHL's version of what happened, and I don't agree with what they stated. They got it wrong. NHL, Department of Player Safety, said the head is the principal point of contact. But there is no irrefutable evidence that this is shown. There are perhaps angles and video that is not available that would offer a better view, but this is a case of conviction by circumstantial evidence. Drew Doughty is absolutely going for the big hit on William Carrier. He and others were agitating Doughty all night. He saw an opportunity to give some back, and he was taking it. On the play, the NHL explanation says Carrier notices Doughty approaching and makes a move to chip the puck by him and try to get to the center of the ice. And that's exactly what he's doing. It's clearly visible on the video. But by doing that, isn't that contradictory to what they say is that he doesn't change the trajectory? Not saying he moved substantially, but he is trying to alter the path of his entire body, and he does. Doughty talked about it yesterday before the game that he sat out. You can see him planting his right foot, digging in, trying to change his path toward the center of the ice and toward the net from the wing. His speed changes as he does this. He is making a play to get the puck around the defenseman. He is in full control of what he is doing. Sees the hit approaching, and he moves. Dave Reed talked about this on the NHL Network, too. If indeed this is the case, which the league stated to be fact, then how is it also incumbent upon Doughty to alter his course yet again to make more of a full body blow? It is impossible. The criteria for determining whether head contact is illegal is this. Quoting from the rule book, in determining whether contact with an opponent's head was avoidable, the circumstances of the hit, including the following, shall be considered. Point number 2, whether an opponent put himself in a vulnerable position by assuming a posture that made head contact on an otherwise full body check unavoidable. That's exactly what happened in this case. Now, clearly the league is saying Doughty did not do this. Yet the player receiving the check is said to have made a hockey play. He is trying to chip the puck by the defender. He's trying to move toward the center of the ice. Yet the point of impact doesn't change? I call BS on that one. That's a mistake. That's wrong. That's a PR suspension. It looked bad. It looked bad because it was a big hit that took out a player. And you did see that there was contact to the head. You want to have the discussion about outlawing all head hits? We can do that, and I'm in favor of it. But as the rule is written, as the rule is laid out in the NHL's own rule book, this suspension and discipline is flawed. And Drew Doughty was right to call BS on it. He was also right to point out that if this is the case, there could be 4 or 5 others that would be suspendable. And because of one spectacular check, one flawed level of discipline in suspending Drew Doughty for one game against the Vegas Golden Knights, everything is under the microscope even further now. Everything is getting examined because there's been hits in a number of other games that have been pointed to. Oh my gosh, is this going to be discipline? Is the league going to look at this? Is there going to be a hearing? If you get a hearing, you can pretty much bank you're getting suspended. And I wasn't sure Doughty should have had a hearing. And a couple of other things. Do they talk to the player that received the hit? Now, in some cases, there may be injuries involved, and a conversation of any length might not be reasonable. But Doughty said he and Carrier were talking after the play, and he was cool with it. Did the league have that conversation? We know that they talk to the player, they'll talk to the general manager and agents and the like. Is there some sort of way to reconstruct what is taking place on the ice? This is almost impossible because the players don't wear any sort of tracking device to track speed and the fierceness of hits and the like. But if you had the ability to do some sort of reconstruction the way they do with collisions on the road, maybe that would be helpful in determining how big a move William Carrier made to avoid that hit. I think it was a suspension because the optics were bad. It was a big hit. The head was involved. There was no penalty called on the play. This was a PR suspension. This wasn't a valid suspension. But it gets everyone's back up and gets everyone's attention because of any sort of physical play that happens. Every idiot media outlet puts up the video and says, oh my gosh, we got to bait our viewers into clicking on this poll to see whether the perpetrator should be suspended. Gets us a lot of clicks on our website, gets us a lot of attention, gets us a lot of hits on Twitter. In the game number one between Washington and Columbus, Tom Wilson had a hit on Alexander Wedberg. Wilson got a 2-minute charging penalty. It was accurate. Maybe you could have made the case for giving him 4, but that's it. But there's the immediate howls of, oh, that's got to be a suspension. Oh my gosh, throw him out for a whole bunch of games. Part of that is because it's a big hit and the receiving player winds up on the ice. Josh Anderson, same game. He runs Michael Kempney into the boards. 5-minute major, game misconduct. He's not going to get suspended after that. Ryan Johansson in the Predators game against the Colorado Avalanche has a hit on Tyson Barrie. People are freaking out that it's a cheap and dirty play. Barrie's moving forward, going towards the net with the puck. Johansson moves toward him, and he actually pulls up instead of really laying him out. That could have been a big penalty, but he didn't. Avalanche boosters are going nuts. One guy writes a whole idiot column that, oh, this is ridiculous. Johansson has a cheap shot artist. Stay classy, Nashville. Are you the president of the fan club too? One bad suspension gets you an awful lot of attention in other areas as well. Colorado Avalanche and the Nashville Predators playing game number 2 of their series. Kris Martel from Fox Sports Tennessee will join us in a little bit to tee up that game. New Jersey, Tampa also in the afternoon. Toronto and Boston this evening. Ty Anderson with the latest on the Bruins. And we'll also talk a little more San Jose and Anaheim. A busy hour number 2. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with much more coming up after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with SeatGiant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis Saturday edition continues here every Saturday and Sunday live at hockeyunfiltered.com and streaming on the Hockey Unfiltered app powered by Primetime Radio. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Lots to get into with the 4 games on the NHL playoff schedule this Saturday. Afternoon contest involving the New Jersey Devils and Tampa Bay Lightning. Also, the Nashville Predators hosting the Colorado Avalanche in game number 2 of their series. Preds with a 1-0 series lead. Kris Martel covers the Preds for Fox Sports Tennessee. Follow him on Twitter at @KMartel_sports. Kris joins us now. Kris, my first question is one that I have, and I probably a few other people have. And if you know it, please tell us who's doing the anthem.
You know, I don't know the answer to that. One of the hosts, I know. One of the midday hosts for one of the radio stations here in town leaked an answer, and I can't remember exactly who it was. They leaked that it was Rascal Flatts that was supposed to do it for game 1, so they were right on that one, but I can't remember for the life of me who they said it was for game 2, so I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. It's just nice if you know. We like to get that out. So anyhow, but that was part of the great tradition of Nashville's run through the postseason last year. I'm glad they're continuing it this year, and the atmosphere inside that building, if nothing else, boy, it's something to witness on television. I cannot imagine how good it is during the playoffs inside the building.
You know, I don't take for granted the atmosphere inside Bridgestone Arena for Preds playoff games. It's just something else. And, you know, I tweeted the other day that it was extremely loud and my ears hurt. And that wasn't a lie. When I left my seat and went down to the service elevator to go downstairs for post-game interviews, my ears were ringing and I had trouble hearing out of my left ear. It was that deafening. So, you know, I would say the decibel level was probably upwards past 120 decibels, maybe even more. I mean, it is extremely loud in that arena, especially when they're doing well.
Yeah, and as much as it's fun too. It's got to make it fun for the players. They've spoken about how it's inspiring and motivating for them, and perhaps none more so than Filip Forsberg, who scored 2 goals in game number 1, and number 2 was a thing of beauty.
We've seen Filip Forsberg do stuff like that before, or at least attempt it. And I know he scored a goal like that last year against Colorado where he went between his legs. But just seeing him try to do something like that in the playoffs and execute it perfectly, it's just, it's above and beyond what you normally see from an NHL player. Filip Forsberg, 2 wonderful individual efforts. The first one to tip that puck in from the point because Nashville wasn't getting any time or space against the Avalanche. And the second one, just taking it straight through the neutral zone and just dangling right past Sam Girard and putting it past a surprise Jonathan Bernier. I don't know if you're going to see many more goals like that in over the entire course of the playoffs. I mean, maybe we will. Maybe Filip Forsberg will give us another couple of those as Nashville goes along. But I'm telling you, nothing ceases to amaze me anymore with Philip Forsberg.
Yeah, he's a pleasure to watch. For the Nashville Predators, different this year from a season ago is that there is a significantly higher level of expectation, I believe, amongst the population of where this team is going. We're going back to the Stanley Cup final. When the playoffs started a season ago and they were facing off against the Chicago Blackhawks, they were the 8th seed coming in. I don't know that there was nearly the expectation that there is this year. How is the team handling that so far?
Anytime we ask the players, the same response, or the response is usually the same. It's one game at a time. They're always taking it one game at a time, and the approach is that, they know the expectations are high. They don't look past the game in front of them, and I think that's the mentality they need to have. They know that everybody expects them to go back to the Stanley Cup Finals and potentially win it. This is the best season of franchise history. 117 points, a Central Division title, a President's Trophy, best record in the Western Conference. And, there are some that say if the Preds don't win the Stanley Cup Final, the season will be considered a failure. And for all intents and purposes, I think the players feel the exact same way. They know this is their opportunity to really bring it home this year. So, they've got the correct mindset and they have the correct mentality. And I just really think that, every game is going to get better for the Predators that goes along. I thought the first game against Colorado was a good feeling out process for about 2 periods, and then the Predators took control. I think if you're going to watch this game tonight, you're going to kind of see Nashville assert control more in the first period than they would have in the second one. So I think you're going to continue to see this Nashville Predators team exercise that one game at a time mentality throughout the rest of the series.
One game at a time. I just want to write that down because I've never heard anyone use that phrase before. One game at a time. Okay. Kris Martel is our guest from Fox Sports Tennessee, covering the Nashville Predators. At @KMartel_sports is how you follow him. I'm just playing with you, Kris. It's just that the hockey world is full of cliches. So, but you make a good point though about Nashville and their approach to game number 2 being a little bit different, because the Colorado Avalanche did some things that got some people's attention in game number 1. If you hadn't been paying attention in the lead up to the Avs and finding their way into the postseason, this is a skilled team. They've got some talent. It's really kind of focused in the top line, a lot of it, but they have the ability to score goals and get your attention and get a lead.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think if what they showed in game 1 was the way to get Nashville's attention, they have the full attention of the Nashville Predators. But what really concerns me about the Colorado Avalanche is that they have just a phenomenal line with Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, and Mikko Rantanen. But past that, I mean, it's the depth. I just don't really feel the depth is there for Colorado. And I thought once Nashville switched from covering the Nathan McKinnon line with Johansson, Forsberg, and Arvidsson to Sissons, Bonino, and Watson, it really stopped. And if you look at the advanced analytics, of course, there's a lot of people that poo-poo on those advanced analytics. But if you look at what the numbers were, it was the Nathan McKinnon line had about a 70% Corsi for, which means they were firing about 70% of the shots at the net compared to Nashville's players. But when the Bonino line came out in the third period, that dropped to about 50%. And that's when Nashville kind of took hold of the game. So what concerns me for Colorado is they had Nashville on the ropes in game 1, but yet Nashville still found a way to win, even though that wasn't their best effort. So what more can they do in games 2, 3, and 4 that they didn't do in game 1? That's my biggest concern for the Avalanche going forward.
Yeah, and even though that they're missing their number 1 goaltender and Semyon Varlamov, Jonathan Bernier played well. He was not at fault for the loss in game number 1. But you're right. This is the best illustration perhaps of in-series adjustments. You're trying something. You start the game with the best on best kind of lineup matchup. But then you know what? Maybe if we do something else, this is going to work better for us. And this is the kind of thing that Peter Laviolette and his staff are going to have to do as this series moves along.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why this game 2 really intrigues me, because like I said earlier, I think Nashville comes out and asserts themselves more in control than they did in game 1. And based on that, and especially with Nashville having the last change in this matchup, Colorado's adjustments and how they come into game 2 is going to really be in the forefront. They're going to have that spotlight on them in the shape of, can you deal with the Predators changes and what they're bringing to the ice. Because if you can't make those adjustments, and, Jared Bednar's a very good coach, but if he can't make those adjustments in this game and in this series, it could be a very short one for Colorado.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Nashville just seems primed. They have depth in all areas, whether it's at forward, whether it's at defense, and even in goal. Pekka Rinne is going to be the guy, but even in goal, there is depth in all areas. If you look at this team as objectively as you can, is there a weakness or something that might be exploitable by the Colorado Avalanche?
Penalties. Penalties has been the big bugaboo for the Predators. I mean, they led the league in penalties taken and penalty minutes. Overall average penalty minutes per game, they took on average almost 6 penalties per game. That's an absurd amount of penalties. Now, granted, their penalty kill, and by extension, their power play have been fairly decent this year. I mean, they're in the top 10 on both sides. But in the same regard, the more penalties you take, the more man advantage opportunities you give to Colorado, the more damage they're going to cause, because eventually Nathan MacKinnon's going to find a way to score. He's just too good not to. And Colorado is a very good team when Nathan MacKinnon gets on the board. So if Colorado wants to take advantage of anything, they need to take advantage of those power plays they get when Nashville's in the box. They could not get a power play goal in game 1, and they had multiple opportunities to do so. So if they get some power play opportunities in games 2, 3, 4, they're going to have to take advantage of those if they want to find a way to keep themselves in this series.
Yeah, a lot of attention with the Nashville Predators, of course, has been on their great defense for so many years throughout the history of the franchise. But over on the other side, which was the one of the flaws of the Avalanche for so many years, but now Tyson Barrie has been a bright spot. He had opportunities, but Samuel Girard, since coming over in the trade, boy, oh boy, and it's an interesting dynamic with him going up against the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, and Sam Girard, if he would have been with Nashville, let's just say, for example, that trade never took place, Sam Girard was going to be an all-star one way or another. He is just a phenomenal defenseman. He's a great young talent, and he is going to be absolutely just wonderful for Colorado as he ages and gets older. But you can't discount Tyson Barrie and Nikita Zadorov. Those are two really, really good defensemen. And even without Eric Johnson, they still have those three to really hold strong on that blue line. It's not like they don't have the depth. I think it's just, is it enough to really counter Nashville's defense? And looking at Colorado, and when you look at a player like Sam Girard and how he's going to develop, especially this postseason, this is just experience for him. So whatever he gets out there, it's just another notch on the belt for him as he gets older and that blue line ages. It's going to look great here in a year, maybe even 2. It's going to look fantastic compared to some of the other blue lines in the NHL. So I just, for Sam Girard's sake, I hope what Philip Forsberg did to him in game 1 doesn't really happen for him again, because that was ugly. You don't want to see something like that for a young defenseman.
Yeah, but that's Sam Girard, though. He will take chances, and sometimes it works out great, sometimes not so great. But I think that's also the right approach for the Colorado Avalanche, is that, we're in the playoffs. No one expected us to even be close here. Anything we do is a gain, and also no one expects us to succeed. And sometimes that's a great weapon.
Absolutely. I mean, they're playing with house money here, and no one that it came down to the very last game of the season. It could have easily been St. Louis in their place, and now that they're here and they're facing off against the top seed in the entire NHL, everybody's really discounting what the Colorado Avalanche can potentially do in the playoffs. Nobody expected them to score the first game and the first goal of the first game against Nashville. No one expected them to have a 2-1 lead going in midway through the second period, or even go tied into the third. But what Colorado has, and I think what they have shown the ability to do, especially in game 1, is really pressure Nashville. And that's one of the ways you can beat the Nashville Predators, is if you consistently pressure them and force Nashville to make mistakes and turn over the puck, which they have a tendency to do because of their aggressive tendencies of how they play. You can force the Predators to turn it over, and you can put it in the back of their net. And with the weapons that Colorado has, especially, like I said, playing with house money, they can do some damage here to the Predators. It's just a matter if they keep up that aggressive play or not.
Looking forward to game number 2 with the Avs and the Nashville Predators on Saturday afternoon. Kris Martel from Fox Sports Tennessee at @KMartel_sports to follow him on Twitter. Great stuff, Kris. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have you back to talk more soon.
My pleasure, Todd. Enjoy the game today.
Thank you. We'll do that in Nashville. How can you not enjoy the game in Nashville? Whether you're watching on television, listening on the radio, or have the great fortune to be inside the building or even outside the building, anywhere around Broadway and watching the game. Oh, yeah, that's an atmosphere. That's a good time for sure. Nashville in Colorado, a 3 p.m. Eastern start. Tampa, New Jersey, also 3 p.m. Eastern. Toronto, Boston, 8 p.m. start. Note the time, an 8 p.m. start tonight. Ty Anderson covering the Bruins will join us with more on the Boston Bruins Toronto Maple Leafs matchup in just a little bit. The late game, of course, the San Jose Sharks and the Anaheim Ducks. That's a 10:30 Eastern start. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. One more call for the HU Dog of the Day for today. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo. Great photo of you, your dog. Tell us your dog's name and your story. We like to recognize and honor great dogs and do it every Saturday. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with SeatGiant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Saturday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues up to the top of the hour. 4 games on the playoff schedule: Colorado, Nashville, New Jersey, Tampa Bay. The afternoon contest. The late game features the San Jose Sharks and the Anaheim Ducks. And also the 8 p.m. Eastern start, Boston Bruins, game number 2, hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs. Bees with a 1-0 series lead after a big win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ty Anderson covers the Boston Bruins, and he's starting a new gig with 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston. You can follow him on Twitter @_Ty Anderson, and he joins us now. Ty, I understand there's might be a little lineup shuffling or two with the Boston Bruins as well. Riley Nash is going to be out of the lineup tonight.
Yeah, well, he missed game 1 as well. He's still recovering. He's dealing with some concussion-like symptoms after getting a puck in the ear in one of the final regular season games. So he remains out. The big shuffle may come with if Tommy Wingles is unable to go. Obviously, he got hit by Kadri on Thursday night. You're going to see Ryan Donato probably slide in on that third line with Noel Acciari and David Backes there.
Not a bad thing to have that sort of substitution take place, to have Ryan Donato, who came into the league near the end of the regular season and got some attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he played 12 games, had 5 goals, 9 points. I mean, can you really ask for much more than that out of a kid jumping from the NCAA to NHL? Probably not. So, yeah, that'd be a good fit for him. They've been pretty honest about it, that if he jumps in the lineup, they want him to play his natural position on that left wing there. They don't want to see him at center or on the right side. So really sort of if Wingles is unable to go, what they'll do is they'll move Heinen down to the fourth line with Tim Schaller and Sean Corrali there. So then you can have Donato on that third line left wing spot. And they think that he could really take advantage of that, given the fact that Acciari and Backes play a more defensively responsible game. And so that would really allow him to sort of, hide under the radar, if you will, I guess, if they're in the defensive zone. And then when you get the offensive zone, his quick shot, his release, the way he can really sense where to go in terms of getting the rebounds and putting home some garbage goals, they'll really take that on that line, because that line would absolutely need some more scoring punch if Heinen is indeed moved off of that line.
We'll wait and see. That'll be a game time decision whether or not Wingles goes in. But there's so much still from game number 1 of this series that I'm not sure anyone has properly digested yet. The whole Kadri hit, I'm not sure how that's going to impact the Maple Leafs lineup. And I don't know if that really changes the Bruins' approach to this series, whether he's in or out as he's going to be for the next 3 games. Does it just mean they'll be playing against someone else and their focus is themselves?
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. I mean, they're making it a point to try to sit here and say that, they're not going to change what they're doing because Kadri's out. They want to focus on what they did well in game 1 and make some adjustments for game 2, because, listen, they know that the Leafs are going to be a desperate team. They know that they don't want to go down 0-2 heading back to Toronto. I mean, that's just so difficult against the Bruins team that when they get going, they're really hard to stop. We've seen that all season long. So the Bruins are focusing on, they know that they're saying that they know that the Leafs are going to put somebody just as good as Kadri there in that second line center spot. So they're not going to change what they do. I think that if you look what the Bruins did in game 1, they were rolling all 4 lines. They weren't necessarily matchup heavy. They liked putting Bergeron on the Matthews line for obvious reasons. But beyond that, they just kind of let the flow of the game kind of go. So I think that you're going to still see a lot of the matchups that you saw in game 1. Maybe, though, if Kadri's not there, maybe they put Krejci's line out there a little bit more. Maybe they put the fourth line out there a little bit more. So it does change things, but not to the point where the Bruins are throwing out their game 2 game plan, if you will.
How did you think Rick Nash looked in game number 1? I know he's just coming back from injury and the expectation is going to be limited, but how did he look to you in game number 1?
I thought he looked fantastic. I mean, he didn't look like a guy who missed a month of hockey, really. I thought that that line with DeBrusk, Krejci, and Nash, I mean, that's been such a key line for this team. When this team is at their best with those guys really going. And I just think that those wingers with DeBrusk and Nash, they feed off each other so well. I mean, DeBrusk is relentless in terms of his puck pursuit. And then you're talking about a big possession guy, Rick Nash, with a long reach. He's really good at shoving defenders off of him. It really sort of changes that dynamic of what this team can do offensively, I think. And then you're talking about a line that drew 3 penalties, basically, in that one game. And that really sort of, I think, changes everything for the Bruins, because they've been such a great power play team. You saw it in game 1. They scored 3 power play goals. If that line is going and Rick Nash is doing what he does best, the Bruins are a really dangerous team. And it took just one game for us to sort of remember that fact, if you will.
Yeah, I thought he was a really nice fit. As soon as he came over from the Rangers at the trade deadline, I thought he really fit in nicely. And with so many young players, so many good young players on the Boston Bruins, whether it's Danton Heinen or even Pasternak, who's been around for a little bit, I think Jake DeBrusk gets overlooked a little bit now and again. But he's been a nice contributor to this team as well this season. He's been injured a couple of times, but I thought he too's fit in really nicely.
Yeah, he's been great. I think that was a sneaky big addition for this team in a lot of ways, because you look at sort of what Krejci has had on his line for the past 3 years. It's been a revolving door, especially to the left. It was Lucic, and it was Louis Eriksson, and then last year they tried, I think, everybody in the organization, really, before they could find an actual fit. So to have DeBrusk in there, a player who gets to the dirty areas, who's good at tipping pucks, he's good at keeping plays alive. I think that was really key for what Krejci was able to do this year. I thought he had one of his successful and consistent seasons yet. And I really think that came back to DeBrusk, because this was a player that had 15 goals, 41 points, 42 points, I believe. He really found a way to contribute, and he kept that spot for the majority of the season. The only time he didn't have it was when he was out of the lineup with injuries. They scratched him twice, but he's done a great job in terms of managing his expectations and finding a way to be a legit contributor for the team.
Ty Anderson with us talking Boston Bruins. He's starting a new gig at 98.5 The Sports Hub next week. @_Ty Anderson is how you follow him on Twitter. Bruins and Maple Leafs playing game number 2 of their series later on this evening at TD Garden. The other thing with the Boston Bruins and their team this year, they've become known a little bit more as a quicker team, a faster team, more of a skilled team, but there is still that physical element to the Boston Bruins now and then. Like so many of the other Bs this year, David Backes had to battle through difficulties with injury and illness at the start of the season, but maybe this is the time of year where we'll really start to see the benefits of David Backes in their lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a big reason why they brought him in. They looked at sort of where they were, where their disappointments were in terms of their postseason results. And, you need a guy who's sort of an alpha personality to step in there and really sort of lead the charge. And I think Backes has done a great job of that. He really does. He fights for every inch of the ice, and you see it. I thought he was lucky not to get a few penalties last game with the way he was kind of pushing the pace, if you will. But I think that you watch him and you see how the team follows his lead. He's a natural born leader in a lot of ways, and I think that when he's going like he did on Thursday, I mean, this team, they become that much more dangerous. I think when you're able to balance, you have Bergeron on one line, Krejci on the other, and then Backes on the third line. You got 3 lines with dominant personalities that can really sort of lead a team. And that's been a big addition for this team. Last year, he didn't work out with David Krejci, so they found a new home for him, I think the third line. And I think that when he's there and producing, it's one of the best third lines in hockey, no doubt.
Yeah, it kind of, if you have the right mixture, and David Backes is a terrific third line winger. Maybe earlier in his career he was better higher up in the lineup, but now with his skills the way they are and the type of play he fits better now on the third line. It also says a lot about the depth of the Boston Bruins. Do you have an over under guess on how many times Brad Marchand is going to want to try to kiss Leo Komarov tonight?
Well, I think it's going to happen at least once. Listen, this is now this year. I think Komarov's got to return the favor. He's got to do what we always see happen. It happens twice and then you do it back. So maybe it happens again tonight. I mean, I have no idea. It's been a big talking point though out of the gate so far. Rick Nash said that could Brad Marchand kiss you? And he said, I don't think he could reach me. So David Backes said for his first kiss in the NHL. So. It's becoming a talking point. So I'm curious if Toronto tries to return the favor tonight and maybe get under Brad Marchand's skin a little bit.
But it's funny how something like this, as you mentioned, becomes a talking point, but it also helps develop the personality of the series as it moves on a little deeper on. What's the tactic going to be? Is it going to be something that you're going to target a specific player, or does it just hopefully prove to distract a player on one team or another?
Yeah, exactly. I think we saw this in 2011 with the Canucks and the Bruins, with Alex Burrows biting Kris Bergeron. That a goof basically by the third game. People were trying to get people to bite each other, but I think at the same time it got the Bruins focused in a lot of ways that they weren't going to fall into these antics and these post whistle scrums. And by the end of it, they were encouraging Vancouver. They said, "Okay, you want to play this way? Let's play this way." I think the Bruins are taking a different approach this time around. They're not going to let. Brad Marchand's not going to let somebody take him off his game like he has previous postseasons, because he learned from that. This is probably his best start to a postseason since 2011. We all know what happened then. So I think that in a lot of ways, it does take on the personality of the series. But if Brad Marchand is doing the agitating and you're not getting under his skin, that is bad news if you're the opposition.
Yeah, the other thing that's a lot of fans have talked about prior to the series starting, and I don't think it's going to be much attention for either the Bees or the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's only 5 Leafs that are still on the squad, but the last time these two teams met in the playoffs, where we had that historic comeback by the Boston Bruins that left the Leafs and their fans so disappointed, I think everybody's kind of flushed that out of their mind and tried to focus their attention on the present day.
Yeah, I think you almost have to in a lot of ways. Tuukka Rask was asked about that this week, and he said, you're not talking about that. That's not even a focus on our minds right now. I think that you look at the teams; they're just so different. It's the Leafs still have a few players around from that, but those players are in much better situations now. You're talking about Tyler Bozak and Nazem Kadri, Jake Gardiner. These players are in roles that are more fitting of who they are or where their careers are at now than they were back then. And for the Bruins, I think that they've had reality checks since then. They've got knocked down a few times since then, so that they don't really look at that. I will say this: the Bruins have been great at making some comebacks this year, so they still have that element to their game. But they're not focusing back on that. They know James Reimer is not in net. They know that the Maple have a few more veteran guys that can help them out now. So they're not going to look at that, but it is in the back of their minds, I guess, in a way, knowing that they can come back from almost anything, right?
Yeah, but you'd rather not. You'd rather have the lead going in. So that's the way to approach it. Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs, game number 2 later on this evening. Ty Anderson, congratulations on the new gig, 98.5, the Sports Hub, @_Ty Anderson to follow him on Twitter. Enjoy the game. It's Rennie Rancourt tonight singing the anthem, right? It's got to be.
Oh, it's got to be. It's a playoff game.
Yeah.
Come on. It's always Rennie in the playoffs.
Okay, just got to make sure. Thanks for this, Ty. I appreciate it. We'll do it again soon, I'm sure.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Ty Anderson, and yes, Rene Rancourt singing the national anthem. This is it. This is the swan song. This is the last year. He said he's retiring. It's not going to be the same in Boston. It'll be difficult to accept, but we'll move on. @Hockey Unfiltered, @Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles. Before the top of the hour, we'll touch on all the series games coming up today. 2 in the afternoon, the Maple Leafs and Bruins, and then of course the late game, San Jose and Anaheim. Couple other stories and things we want to touch on as well. If you're looking for it, it's going to be fun to watch and enjoy. We haven't talked about television. Let's save that for tomorrow. A little television talk tomorrow on the coverage of the NHL playoffs so far. Some good things and some other things that kind of leave you shaking your head a little bit. We'll do that tomorrow. Haven't been able to touch too much on off-season plans for teams not in the postseason. We'll try and do that on our program tomorrow as well. One more segment to go. We'll get you set. And we'll have our Dog of the Day winner all coming up right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Final segment of the Saturday program, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, powered by Primetime Radio, live at hockeyunfiltered.com and on the Hockey Unfiltered app every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. If you miss a show, you can subscribe to our podcast through iTunes, iHeartRadio, and of course, they're available through our website and on the Hockey Unfiltered app, available now for download at the App Store, all powered by Primetime Radio. That includes our little Saturday podcast as well. It's a little bit of weekend in the middle of the week. Podcast drop Wednesday afternoon. Just kind of our way of keeping the conversation going. Always have some cool and interesting stuff up on our Facebook page as well. Looking forward to 4 games on the Saturday schedule. Bolts leading their series with the New Jersey Devils, 1-0, one of the afternoon contests. Yeah, we saw what the Tampa Bay Lightning are capable of in game number 1. Both some good and, well, some other stuff that you want to pay attention to. They pounced. They got a couple of goals. They went up again by another goal in the second period. And then it could have been a runaway game, but New Jersey kind of sorted themselves out, had a little bit of pushback, and that was understandable. Devils made it a closer game in the second half of their game number 1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Interested to see what happens in game number 2. But you did get a chance to see what the Devils can do. Example, Taylor Hall. Boy, is he something to watch. Certainly making a case for MVP, although those ballots are already in, so we'll wait and see how it plays out. Colorado and Nashville, the other afternoon contest, a 3 p.m. Eastern time start. Avs, they've got nothing to lose. No one expected them to be even close to the playoffs. They surprised everyone, got in, won in dramatic fashion on the final day of their regular season, and got in. And now they get to play 2 in Nashville before heading home. They also got the attention of their opponent just a little bit. Interesting to see what happens now. Now, Nashville's a better team. Top to bottom, better defense, better offense, better goaltending. Special teams, yeah, Nashville has some issues with the penalty kill, but they are a superior talent team to the Colorado Avalanche. Doesn't mean the Avs can't win, and they did get their attention. As Kris told us, Kris Martel from Fox Sports Tennessee told us a little bit earlier this hour, Nashville needs to start and be a little more aggressive a little bit earlier on. Toronto and Boston, no Nazem Kadri. How many times will Brad Marchand kiss Leo Komarov? I don't know. You know what? That's one of the fun things of a series, though. It takes on a little bit of a personality. Each of the 8 series is going to be a little different as we move through the number of games, however many there are in each series. But each one takes on a little bit of its own personality. The Toronto-Boston series has one because of the whole Brad Marchand and the nuzzling and kissing Leo Komarov, but also because of the stupidity of Nazem Kadri. Boston's got offensive weapons, so does Toronto. Boston's got good goaltending, so does Toronto. Defense is better for Boston. Some analysts are suggesting that the pickup of Thomas Plekanec may prove to be important and vital for the Toronto Maple Leafs with Kadri out of the lineup for 3 games. Well, it'd be nice if Thomas Plekanec could play a vital role for the Toronto Maple Leafs because he's been pretty much absent for much of the 17 regular season games he did play with the Maple Leafs. He's been invisible for so much of that. I think it'll be much more important how Patrick Marleau plays, and Andreas Janssen getting into the lineup, I think, could be an interesting one for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think that might be more important. And the late game, if you're in the Eastern time zones, San Jose Sharks taking on the Anaheim Ducks. 3-0 shutout victory for San Jose in game number 1. Yeah, 25 saves from Martin Jones. Playoff ready. And yeah, we all kind of wondered what sort of performance we were going to get out of Evander Kane when he was acquired by the Sharks from the Buffalo Sabres at the deadline. Proved that he was ready and could produce during the regular season. Showed pretty solid in game number 1 of the series as well. Penalties hurt. I don't know if Anaheim can make that mistake again. This is a team that must win game number 2. You hate to call a game a must game unless it's elimination one, but Anaheim's got to win game number 2. If they leave Southern California and head up towards the Bay Area down 2, it's only a matter of time. That's the motivator. I would expect Anaheim to be roaring out of the gate. It's must win. You can't go to San Jose down 2. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to watch in the games in the afternoon. And how do afternoon games affect some teams? They're middle of the afternoon as well in the Eastern time zone. They're Eastern teams, but they're middle of the afternoon games, and not everybody is used to playing those. Players are often such creatures of habit and have such a strict routine. I'm interested to see what happens there. What's the officiating going to be like? Nothing suspension worthy, no hearings from last night's games. Some suggesting Claude Giroux should be looked at for his contact with Kris Letang. I don't think so. A little accidentally on purpose, okay, maybe. Oh, the other one from the Pittsburgh Philly game was the embellishment call on Patrick Hornqvist from the cross-check he received. I didn't think it was embellishing at all. I didn't think that he deserved a 2-minute penalty for that. Tim Peel, Wes McCauley, oh yeah, veteran referees, one of the best according to the players. I don't think he got that one right. I don't think he embellished that. I watched it a bunch of times. I don't think it was worthy of embellishment. Maybe it was a bit of a message sending by the officials to Patrick Hornqvist, who was running around a little bit. I don't think he embellished on that play. We'll see what kind of officiating we get in this game, on the games on the Saturday schedule. As mentioned, we'll talk a little TV on tomorrow's program and a bunch of other things as well. Our dog of the day winner, John Lee from Joanne. That's a cute picture. It'll go up on our website and go up on our Facebook page as well. We thank you for that. Thank you to our guest, Ty Anderson, to Chris Martel, to Craig Button, to Arthur Staple, and Jason Mackey, all for joining us on the program today. And as we start to make our way through this first weekend of Stanley Cup playoff action, we also hold in our hearts those affected by the tragic events in Saskatchewan just over a week ago. The wounds are still raw. Funerals and memorials are taking place. Everyone is still hurting. It's been an enormous outpouring of affection and support, and I'm pleased to see how it's continuing. Millions are doing whatever they can, offering love, offering support to the community and to the Humboldt Broncos family who still need it and will for a long time. On Thursday, so many of us posted photos on social media wearing our jerseys for Humboldt, a sign of solidarity and support for the community. Also captivating everyone on social media, this phenomenon that began with TSN broadcaster Brian Muntz leaving sticks outside for the boys in case they need them, wherever they might be playing. It was a touching gesture and wonderfully symbolic of how hockey is such a part of the fabric in Canada. This weekend, I am so proud that some of my friends in other sports are also showing their support. The IndyCar Series is racing in Long Beach, California. Canadian drivers James Hinchcliffe and Robert Wickens have left sticks outside of their transporter in the paddock area for IndyCar. My friend DJ Kennington is racing in the NASCAR event in Bristol, Tennessee, and he has the logo of the Humboldt Broncos on the hood of his car. Everywhere, people are doing what they can, and it's heartwarming to see. We're here for you whenever you need us. There is always a shoulder to lean on, arms to wrap around you, and support you whenever you need it. Hashtag Humboldt Strong. Thanks for listening today. Enjoy a great day of hockey. We're looking forward to it. Back again Sunday morning, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, with another edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.